Hey, it's Soul with some more Horrific Vision commentary, a series where I take classes that I don't know how to play, which is nearly all of them, gear them up with only outdoor world content and horrific visions, and then complete a 5 chest run. Today has us in Orgrimmar with my Glyph Printin Frost Mage. He has an item level of 440 without any particular focus on Azeroth traits. He is rocking a rank 3 Echoing Void and a haste proc, so he's ready for some up close and personal melee mage action. Brrr. His cloak is rank 10, meaning 45% insanity resistance, and has a neck level of 79. He's using Focusing Iris as his main essence, with Lucid Dreams, Breath of the Dying, and Purification Protocol as minors, all of which were purchased with Echoes of Ny'alotha. For talents, he's running Lonely Winter, Shimmer, Incanter's Flow, Frozen Touch, Frigid Wind, Splitting Ice, and Ray of Frost. He's spec'd for solo play and has a point in Vision Hunter. He has Goulash, of course, and Kebab, and well, let's just get this thing going. I kind of feel like that out of all the visions that I've done, this one I deserve to do the least, or I don't know. This one felt awkward because I felt powerful, and yet at the same time I had very little idea I was doing. I had no clue what I was doing. It was kind of like being the shaman, but instead, like I was still successful. So. And you might see what I mean. So I start off with popping my invisibility here, just so that I have the timing to use it and again when I return to this particular area. And so I go for the 2 bouncers here, kicking it off with a Frozen Orb and a Ray of Frost immediately to bring that first guy down as much as possible. I'm using my counterspell to take care of the Horrifying Shout, but I have no idea what to do about that second one. I probably could have ice blocked or something, but instead, well, nothing. So the thing about me and my mage is that it's like, okay, cool, I have these like awesome abilities and powerful things, but as soon as they're all on cooldown, I'm like, so what next? So right there, I was just double checking which vial was going to work out for me. And I run up to this shaman and I use my trinket. Now, a little thing on this particular character, this is considered the closest thing that I have to my official alt, because this is the second character that I leveled to max because I wanted this one to print glyphs, basically. I wanted to get recipes and do all that stuff. So this is like supposed to be my most heavily experienced character, even though it's definitely not. So I'm out here, I kick it off with a blizzard just so I can get some aggro, guaranteed aggro on these guys, and then I just kind of take off. The Azerite miners are actually doing a really good job of taking care of those little elemental dudes. So I go for the boss. There's the rest of the elementals that happen to survive. I guess one went down, and I'm dealing with Hotfoot. I'm actually I think in one sitting I did the mage, the rogue, and the monk runs all at the same all in one go. Which was which felt nice, and this happened to be the final run. So this actually happened to be my final 5 chest clear for this project. So go me. But yeah, with this guy goes down fairly quickly. It's just a matter of popping whatever available cooldowns that I had on me. Because I can't slow him or anything like that. It's really the trash that is a bit more of a challenge when going through this as my mage. Mostly because it's like, okay, do I have a cooldown available? Yes, let's do it. So when I run out of tricks, or when I'm trying to save tricks for other encounters, I'm kind of left stuck throwing ice frost bolts like an idiot. But of course, you gotta definitely make sure that for enemies certain like the void elemental there, that you make sure that you interrupt that void buffet or whatever it's called. Otherwise, I can equate to some big incoming damage, and not something that you want to take. Because especially as a frost mage, if things really hit the fan, my invisibility would be on cooldown, and I would have no idea what to do. So I'm waiting for that for that patrol to just kind of go by instead of trying to struggle between those trees, and I just go for these guys right over here. I use my frozen orb to open up so I can get some ice lances available, and these guys just go down like really quick. I give a lot of credit, though, again, to the Azerite trait miners, especially Purification Protocol. It just does a lot of burst AoE whenever it happens to go off. So I try to have a strategy when encountering when taking care of encounters here. I tried to go like some sort of like weird hybrid AOE-ish kind of build that utilized my Echoing Void. The problem though is as a caster, you're not using a lot of globals in quick succession, not like a tank or a melee class that would use certain combos or certain things, over and over and over again. I'm using spell casts, so Echoing Void is, largely ineffective for the most part. Um, maybe if I can get like a whole bunch of ice lances off, cool, but it just doesn't quite work out here. So I have a bunch of cooldowns available on me. I kick it off with a trinket. I go hard. And the trinket does a terrific job of doing damage on the move whenever I need to avoid certain things, such as getting out of the hopelessness debuff. And at that time, that hopelessness, I was able to, the orb just kind of spawned right on me, which is great. Looks like I opted to save my focusing iris for a little bit later, knowing that it has a 1.5-minute cooldown, and knowing that I know that I'm underutilizing that ability. There's so many more instances where I can use that I just didn't really take advantage of during this run. So it's kind of a big minus on me. I probably would be in a much better state of sanity if I had used it maybe like one more time as I was going through that particular area. But I still got through. I'm still alive. I still have 3 orbs. I still have a decent bit of sanity as well as my extra life. So I'm dealing with Leaden Foot here, and I first take care of pulling that first guy. Make sure that I have him. Just kind of step out of the way. I don't want to take any needless damage if I don't have to. And I decide to take a little bit of a risk here by pulling these extra 2 mobs here, not exactly knowing if I'm going to totally screw up on this. Now, I do believe I did manage to forechest this not too long ago, and that was thanks to me going through this area. So I have a little bit of experience here. So I did pop my orb here, and I take care of the Dominator first, just so I can make sure I can take care of it quickly. I know that I can counterspell it, but well, I might as well use cooldowns, right? Like I said, I'm just doing a really poor job of utilizing my cooldowns properly. So you see here, I think we're going to take like a bigger risk. I pull more mobs, grip them right over, and then I laser the crap out of them. So this was one of those times where it's like, oh, well done. Here's your little pat on the back. You actually made good utilization of your spell. Now, of course, using Blizzard on 2 enemies, not that impressive, but oh well. But of course, standing next to them prevents them from submerging. So, whatever damage that I can get out, I'll definitely get out. With my frozen orb available, I use it on these guys right over here, and I couple it up with a blizzard just to make sure I can get a little bit of extra damage going while Echoing Void and other abilities take care of the rest. I think I ended up using just like a bunch of ice lances just for the heck of it, so I can proc things. Things like that help a little bit. I mean, I could use that to maybe build stacks of Echoing Void, but I would argue that's not the best way to go. So anyway, I'm checking on this mob here. I open up somewhat big. I still have my Ray of Frost, but I use it right over here to get some extra damage in right between one of his bigger attacks, and down he goes. So he wasn't too tough. I was able to get some strong procs and use my abilities to take him down. I think, it looks like I had used my Icy Veins for that one as well. I can see that it's on cooldown right now, but I zip over to take care of this guy. But I have fewer tricks for this guy, and to be honest, I should have kind of timed things a little bit better for this one, because I have to stop casting for this particular guy. Of course, saving my instance, my procs, like my Ice Lance and my Flurry, for those moments are very helpful. And blinking out of the stomp is, of course, very helpful too, so that way I don't get silenced. Down he goes. Now it's time to take on the first big guy. Let's do this. I don't really have much in the way of cooldowns. My trinket is also on cooldown. I do have my focusing iris, but I believe I'm going to have saved that for a little bit into the fight when I get some more ads coming in. And, apart from blizzards and frozen orbs and stuff, taking them down quickly, it's not a huge priority, but it definitely helps to help me feel better, if nothing else. So he's down to only about 30 something percent already. I've been doing pretty decent at using my cooldowns in this case. You saw that I used another Ray of Frost right over there, and down he goes. Frozen Orb is right there to finish off the rest of the mobs. I throw down another Blizzard for pretty much no reason, and then off I go. See, I'm scratching the back of my head because I'm like, okay, cool, I pressed buttons, and I think I did well. I did, I did okay. I think by now this is going to be like the 24th 5 chest clear that I've had done. So maybe it's experience that had let me feel like, hey, you know what, I feel like I'm stealing this victory here. This was not nearly as much of a challenge because I am running with a rank 9 cloak, I believe. Yeah, a rank 9 cloak. Rank 9 basically means I had a really easy time with the vision. Rank 11, if I ever get to that, that means that means I struggled a lot more, and otherwise I really needed the extra sanity resistance to get enough time to complete the 5 chest run. And in this case, this is definitely one of the easier runs for me. As an insult to injury, I might as well have some vials, because the thing that I keep saying on all these visions is to never let your guard down. Always go all in when you're going for it. Granted, I handicap myself a little bit. I don't use enchants most of the time, but that's okay. That's kind of okay. So anyway, we're proceeding into this next area. We're taking on the elite. We're dealing with Hotfoot, which is like the best thing to have for this particular guy. I mean, for some people, I'm sure it's a total nightmare, but it trivializes this guy's mechanics, makes things much easier to deal with, at least in my opinion. It does take a lot of practice to get used to this particular madness effects. But down it goes. Hi, Corona. Let's get out of here. Let's move it. And we're doing pretty good. 2 orbs left, half sanity, about to have a vial. Thank you much. And let's move on to the next guy. I think I've had a really bad habit of going up to a vial while mounted, and then clicking on it, and then mounting up again, even though it dismounts me. It's been a pretty common mistake that I've been making. So I went ahead and went for, as usual, go for the Dominator first, but he just got vaporized. I didn't even have time to talk about him before he just got cut through. Making sure to open all the doors, try not to miss doors. That can be potentially problematic for you. Next pack over here, go for the Mind Carver first. That way you can avoid the possibility of getting feared and taking extra damage, or otherwise slowing down your damage overall. But of course, take care of the Tentacle too afterwards, because it's the devil. It's the worst thing ever. All right, so with most of these taken care of, I'm going for this one Dominator here before I turn around and go for the Name Mob, because he's the most dangerous one out of all of them. Otherwise, the big guy and the Name Mob, they're just damage sponges. They don't do too much. Just, of course, stay out of the swirlies right over there. And otherwise, you won't have too much trouble. So not doing so bad so far. I believe this was my first, this should be my first 5-chest attempt on this character. I was only a little nervous because I still feel so awkward as a mage. I'm used to, just doing some world quests and, really minor content, not anything that requires any sort of thoughtful play. It's just stand in front of the thing, cast frost bolts, use ice lances, watch the numbers go, and then there you go. Needing to have the sort of dexterity that I'm demonstrating here, it's still different for me. I mean, I'm sure experienced mages such as yourselves who are watching are like, okay, come on, dude, it's not that big of a deal. But I think I'm just not as fond of casters as I previously was. I used to play as a warlock way back in the day, and now not so much. So I'm using my best. I'm doing my best to use line of sight to avoid this guy's attacks, and otherwise just unloading on him. You can see my sanity is super low, and I'm able to barely skate by. I really should have used the kebab at some point, and did not. That just made things like really close on my part. But we're still doing extremely well. I'm barely getting by with 2 orbs, and I'm still going. I'm gonna take on Misha. Try to take it down before I get took by the sanity and use my extra life for like no reason. So let's get away from that maddening roar really quick. Go back, re-engage. Sanity is getting lower, but down she goes. And now to take on these guys. So I'm really pushing it here. For no reason. There really is no reason for me to not have maybe used my extra life, or had just used an orb a little bit earlier. But off I go, making sure my life is full. Off I go through our favorite little shortcut. And just to show you, like, every class can do this. Everybody can do this as long as you meet like a minimum item level threshold, like in the 410s, 420s or so. And if you have Ghastly Goulash, then you can perform this skip. You should be okay. So I pop my orb here. Because of the timing, I might as well use it here and save it for Rexar, basically, and then go out and take care of the mobs, and I should have plenty of sanity remaining. So the secret here is as usual, control, which I don't have a lot of with the mage. I'm either going like totally nasty, or I'm just hitting frostbolts and very little else. So I'm doing my best to just kind of take care of the boars only, but Rexar is getting whittled down more and more as I'm throwing things like ice lances that bring them out. And so here we go. We're at 50%. We're dealing with both boars, but that's what I saved my focusing iris on. And down it goes really quick. Rexar's gone. Easy, I suppose. But now I got to take care of this guy, which is low-key like a kind of a difficult pull if you are not careful. Like if you get hit by the breath and the knockback, it equates to a lot of bursty incoming damage. So it's still a pack that you need to be somewhat careful of. You don't want to be reckless and just pull out at low health and think that you can just spam buttons and survive. They can put on a lot of pain. But we're already through. Rexar's gone. The other big thing, whatever that thing was called, is also gone. And we're ready to finish off Thrall. So this was a very successful run. It just feels almost anticlimactic with how, not exactly easy it was, but then just how awkward I still felt on this class. I feel like I didn't learn a lot when coming into, I think that's the takeaway for me. I didn't really learn much. I don't feel like I grew when it came to performing well on this particular character. It might be things like Azerite traits or corruption to blame. Okay, maybe more Azerite traits and less corruption, but that's just how it goes. Utilizing the tools that are available to me when the content that I'm in the content that I care for doing, that's kind of the moral of the story here. So I open up on Thrall, open up with a focusing iris to try and take down these boars really quick. But I was a little bit reckless here. I ended up getting stunned right over there before I take down that second boar. And now it's just a game of making sure that I'm utilizing Promised Power and the massive damage increase that it affords me. I also happen to pop all whichever cooldowns that I have handy. Icy Veins, Lust, all that good stuff. Thrall is already down to 55% or so life, but he does pop his shield, which I do such a poor job of ever breaking. I feel like whenever that happens to go off, I might as well just use some sort of immunity. In this case, it would be Ice Block, or it would be Divine Shield, or something to just evade the damage. Clearly don't have what it takes, but down he goes really quick. Thanks to all the DPS cooldowns that popped. That is it. Now I still have a couple more videos to put out, but this happens to be the final chest, and that kind of sigh of satisfaction and relief after completing this. But this is it's still been quite a ride, and I can't wait to talk about this at length a little bit later. For now, though, let's take a look at what kind of chest that we've got, what kind of gear we get from this. Take a short victory lap. And in hindsight, I chose Frost Mage just because of the theme. I'm just not fond of the idea of a Fire Mage or an Arcane Mage. It just doesn't really connect with me. I always felt that Frost was like my calling if I ever happened to be a serious mage. So I happened to get Azeroth gear. I think this run, these last final runs, was just full of Azeroth gear, and it happened to be a total downgrade. I happen to have a heroic Warfront chest. Like I said, this character kind of breaks some of the small rules. He did actually happen to do a heroic Warfront once. Sorry about that. I totally killed all your guys' trust, but that's gonna be it. So let's get out of here for now. I hope that this was a little bit helpful and educational for folks who might be struggling with their mages. And well, just let me know if you have any questions, and otherwise, please subscribe to the channel for more of this and all things Warcraft. We'll see you next time. Until then, stay safe, stay healthy, and stay breezy.